Good evening, please settle down. We're about to begin. Settle down. Be a patient man. Try it.
It's the Canadianness in it.
It's the new Canadian man. That's right. It's a good point.
Sorry.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our first Toastmasters meeting of spring. Are you joyous? It's spring. It's fantastic, isn't it? I'm feeling particularly happy today because I'm a Canadian. Do I look different? Do I sound different? I'm not quite sure. But it's great to be a member of this wonderful thing. I sound Bulgarian? I'm happy. Ah, happy. Nicer. Was I not nice before? Getting you in trouble. Eh? Right.
New citizens have to buy Canadians for everybody.
Water, cookies, and pop. Triple. We'll just cover quickly the agenda. There's been a couple of slight changes to the agenda. After the break at 8:07, we're going to have a quick bit of club business from our president, John MacDonald. And the only change we presently have is our general evaluator showing at 8:36 instead of Dave. It's going to be Jocelyn. Thank you very much, Jocelyn, for volunteering. We do have a special meeting today, and before we go straight on to it, I'm just going to cover a quick safety topic. And it's tied to my opening address, and it's about the dangers of spring. Spring is dangerous. Exactly. And there's many things about spring that can introduce danger and health and safety issues. One of them is exactly this morning, that freezing rain as we drove in. And it can tie to many things. You may have changed your tyres already and put your summer tyres on. I hope nobody did. And people say the best time to do is May long. That's probably the best time to change or stampede. But we forget, we change our tyres, we forget, and then suddenly we get that little bit of snow and freeze, and it's dangerous again. Another one is the sunlight, and there's the changing hours, and you're driving into work or you're driving home, and now the sun's rising or setting, and it's blinding you. And I think back to when you're driving at night and the car's coming in another direction, and they've got the brights up, and you can't see, and you drive through it and hope you come out the other side. And it's a bit like that as well, and we shouldn't do that. We should slow down, we should give ourselves that opportunity to stop. And there's a lot of places out here when you're driving over the Interpass, 162nd and McLeod, the sun just shines in your eyes and it's dangerous. Removing the Christmas lights. Mine are still up. and eventually I'm going to get out there when it's melted and I'm going to take down my lights. And maybe you'll do the same, maybe I'm the only one.
For 3 weeks.
But when you got that ladder, have someone hold the ladder at the bottom. Don't go outside the frame of that ladder with your frame. You should never do that. That's going to get you falling off. So do be careful if you're doing that type of activity. If you're going to work in the yard, and I'm hoping we're all going to get working out in the yard soon and digging that turf and planting new bulbs and all that fun stuff to do in the spring, but your body's not necessarily used to it because you've been hibernating for the last 6 months or longer. So do be careful the first day and stretch and do it and look after your back. But also, if you're going to get out with the lawnmower as well, and soon enough there'll be grass, there will, I promise. Don't do it in your flip-flops or your sandals. Wear closed-toed shoes, wear eye goggles, and just be safe when you're doing the grass. And then lastly, one that's close to my heart is cycling. If you are out and about, walking, cycling, be careful of the ground. They haven't done the roads yet. They're not going to do the roads yet. If you're taking a corner when you're cycling, you're going to lose your back edge and you're just going to wipe out. If you don't cycle but you're a driver, be aware of me on the road, on my bike, and other cyclists out there. So when you think about it, and there's probably 100 more things you could think of, that spring is dangerous. The dangers of spring. There's our safety topic. Do I get credit for that? It's almost. We're going to move straight on. We do have an action-packed and exciting meeting, and I'm going to introduce our chairperson for today. Our chairperson is Susan Kramer, and Susan is a distinguished Toastmaster. She's been doing this for a long time. How many years is it, Susan? 2003. Distinguished. No, she's a wonderful Toastmaster, and she's given back so much, and I think that's the value you get people who do longevity in Toastmasters. They give back, and Susan is exactly one of those people that gives back. She's also leading the team for the Real World Showcase coming up, and she's excited to be doing that. And she's also an entrepreneur. And she's working with Shelley Goldbeck at the moment, doing S2 seminars, and she's helping out small businesses and artists to take their businesses to the next level. And that's the real world application of what we do in Toastmasters. So it's a great pleasure to have Susan as our chairperson today. Please welcome Susan.
Thank you, everyone, and good evening. Before we get too far underway, I would like to call up our grammarian to share with us the word of the day. This young lady is somebody that I met as an area director a number of years ago. She's been very vibrant in her day club, and I'm absolutely thrilled that she's now a member with us here. But please join me in welcoming distinguished Toastmaster Joanne Smith.
If I'm young, she's a spring chicken. Well, I have the word of the day up on two walls, one here and one over there. The word today is anukshuk, and the reason I picked it has a lot to do with how an anukshuk and what an anukshuk is. Now, an anukshuk is a stack of stones. You will find them usually in the Arctic, but what is important about them is they help the people find their way. Sometimes they're cairns, so they're actually meant there for a marker for some reason, but other times they help point the way. And because we're talking about pathways, I thought that this was a good, solid word. And besides that, in order to build these, the people have to get together and lift them and balance them, and no rock removed will cause it to stumble and fall and crash. So it takes a village of people to make that anukshuk stay stable. Something else that I didn't know is that it is actually illegal or forbidden to destroy an anukshuk. So I thought that was a word that we could use for today. Madam Toastmaster.
It's always interesting when we have a noun for the word of the day, but I met Freddie Doctorum, who's going to be the keynote speaker at our upcoming District 42 conference back in 2012, I think. And when we met her, she does a lot with anukshuks, and there's two different pronunciations for anukshuk. Sometimes it's suk, sometimes it's shuk, so it just kind of depends, I think. But I think anukshuk is actually the right pronunciation. What did she teach us? Do you remember? Is that what it is? Oh, very cool. Okay, so anukshuk. Use it well, use it wisely. I'd like to hear it in your question of the day. Next up, we'll do our dealer's choice. I'm trying to think how I met this Toastmaster. I'm sure it was on a project and before she started here at this club. But she's one of the Toastmasters over the last 3 years that I have personally witnessed phenomenal growth. Where are you at right now? DTM? Not yet. Where are you at? Advanced Leader Bronze and Advanced Communicator Bronze? Soon. So hopefully she's on the fast track or the fast path to get that DTM finished. But please join me in welcoming Josephine Choi.
Good evening, everyone. Tonight, we are just sharing something really simple. You don't have to buy new tricks, new toys, no electronics. It's all with you. What's the number? 7. Right. Tonight, I'm going to share with you some breathing technique. So you breathe in, 7, hold, 7, and breathe out, 7. What do you need to do breathing? A lot of us, we do not know the breathing. Often we see that people come up here and make a speech. All of a sudden we have all those kind of panic thing going on. Either we go very fast, lost our words, or we go in a high pitch, like the 20-word kind of sound, right? If you were to do your breathing, even standing there, in 7, hold 7, when you're up 7, you're projecting your voice out already. Then you are able to smile, look at other people, you calm yourself down so that you will not have that fight or flight. Remember, a lot of times people don't breathe when they finish their speech. All they do is they want to walk because it's flight, getting away. So remember, just a simple trick. Breathe in, 7. Hold, 7. And breathe out, 7. You don't have to buy toys. And by then you smile and Toastmaster.
That's very valuable. One of my favorite commercials when I'm playing my games on my iPad these days is that one that it talks about being calm and do nothing for 30 seconds, and then it's got the little circle that goes around. Now I know what to do with that circle. It's going to be 777. So thank you, Josephine.
But that's only 21.
I know. So I'm going to have to do something else in between, but it's all good. Me and my math. Okay, next. Because our topic is choosing a path, I have two choices. I can ask you a path-related question now that is unrelated to our keynote speech tonight, or we can wait and do the question of the day after the keynote speech when we're a little better informed. So let's do a quick vote. Ask a path question right now that has nothing to do with pathways, or ask a question about pathways after we hear Christina's keynote. So before? After? Okay, after wins. So with that in mind, I am going to move right to introducing our next performer. This gentleman, I first met at an After 5 meeting, again when I was an area director, and he's another person that I've witnessed absolutely phenomenal growth. And I can see he had a haircut today and looks extremely handsome. He also loves food and is also very much a giver to the district. So please join me in welcoming distinguished Toastmaster Anthony Abraham
I was losing oxygen to my brain. I lost count on that. We heard about a new educational program a few years ago, and it sounded exciting. And then we heard it got delayed. Then the topic came up again. We got excited. And then it got delayed. And it came up again. Well, where have we seen this movie before? But now, it's imminent. Pathways is coming. Pathways is coming. We're going to hear about that today. We have two presenters, Christina Cruz and John McDonald. Christina Cruz, DTM, Distinguished Toastmaster. Would you agree that she is an enthusiastic Toastmaster? Yes, she is. So Christina Cruz is our Pathways Ambassador. She has been involved in training, educating, and leading clubs for over 10 years. For over 10 years. And as our Pathways Ambassador, Christina is pleased as punch to share more details about this new Toastmasters program coming soon to a district near you, right here, District 42, May 3rd. That's right. And she is here to build some Inuksuk, plural, to guide us. But speaking of guides, the other part of the dynamic duo tonight is John McDonald. John is our Pathways guide. John will be our support for logging on, creating a profile, and all the technical aspects as Pathways rolls out. And together, Christina and John look forward to helping MVP members, that's us, dive into this new, exciting, and educational experience. They'll be doing this together. Christina will get most of the airtime. I'm going to call Christina, but I'm asking you to give a big MVP rock and roll welcome MVP Inukshuk, welcome. Pathways, welcome. To both Christina Cruz and John McDonald, Pathways Base Camp open soon. Pathways Base Camp open soon. Christina Cruz. Breathe, breathe.
What a build-up.
Joanne, I have to share something with you before I start. Jan and I were in the Rockies this week. We skied at Ramshoka on Sunday. We drove to Kicking Horse on Monday. That was a really busy day. And we skied Kicking Horse on Tuesday. And if you've been to Kicking Horse, as you go up the hill, there is a huge Inukshuk. And it is painted golden. So on the way down, it says Golden Rocks. And that's what we're doing today. We are creating Inukshuks for paths for each other, and I couldn't be more excited. We have a new education program coming to Toastmasters, and most of the people in this room already know that. You've heard a little bit about it. You may have already seen the Pathways presentation in another club. But what we're going to do today is look at it in more detail, and then let you know how that's going to roll out. We had a couple ideas even just before the meeting today that maybe we could share by the end. So today we're going to look at what's happened in Toastmasters. Imagine 90 years ago, Ralph Smedley, 3 men in the basement of a YMCA. And today we are across the world, 350,000 members, and all of them are hearing about Pathways. You will now have a choice of 10 paths instead of just communication and leadership. And this is what's really exciting. We're going to look at one path in detail and the 5 levels of that path, which will spread to each path. We'll talk a little bit about base camp, which is where it all happens. If you were to look at the analogy of climbing a mountain, base camp is what we actually call it online. Evaluations, my favorite part of Toastmasters, because that's how we grow, are amazing as they are now. But when you see what Pathways is bringing in, we're going to see a more consistent and a more specific, if you can imagine, evaluation for each other. Mentoring happens all the time. An MVP, everybody in this room is a mentor. But we now will have a more structured mentoring program, which isn't just valuable in Toastmasters. In any organization, if it's sport, if it's arts, if it's drama, if it's work, if it's volunteering, mentoring is the best way for it to happen. So to actually be mentored on how to mentor properly and with a proven track record is going to be really exciting. The projects we can do, the awards and certificates are much more than what we experience now in our program. And probably what you're wondering, what does that do to our club meetings? No volume? We didn't test it, no. We'll just skip that. The video is online and you can look at it. It is 3 minutes on testimonies from people around the world. And we'll talk a little bit about more of that, what that is. Ralph Smedley started Toastmasters and he understood that we learn when we're having fun. I think that's something that's pretty evident at MVP. But if we're not having fun, we don't return. What will happen with our program, as far as our education program, I think we're going to continue to have fun and we're going to end up with more structure and a lot more choices. I think one of the things that's going to be really interesting is that we will actually learn when we're not even doing. From each other, we're going to learn much more. Toastmasters, as we know it, is self-paced. It will still be self-paced. You'll be able to go at your own level depending on what's happening in the rest of your world. You will decide. You can do everything online or you can still order printed material. If you order printed, you'll pay for it. My suggestion, you order it online and print it at home and you can do it as you want. A number of resources that will be available to us, the videos, the checklists, the evaluations, the step-by-step for every project is unbelievable. And what we're finding, even today, John and I were talking, we are not the first to roll out Pathways. We are the second last region. So there are people around the world that have been doing Pathways for almost a year. We have had, go ahead, John.
There's one individual that's completed 5 paths already.
And I think he's coming to our pep rally, right? Yeah. So we are going to have all of that at our fingertips, even more so. But there are other regions. So there is somebody in Australia, there's somebody in Thailand, Malaysia. They are already taking the Toastmaster resources and creating new checklists and new matrix and new videos. So we have probably way more available to us than those people that rolled out at the beginning. And the things that we will be working on are way more world related. So if you think about our program that we are in right now, the CC was developed in the 70s, 40 years ago. We did not have cell phones. We did not have blogging. We did not have videos. We didn't know what a webinar was. So none of those projects have been part of our Toastmasters experience as we move forward. How many people in this room have been on a webinar?
Today?
Yeah, yes, the last 48 hours. It is something that is just part and parcel of what we do. But every one of you has been on a webinar where half the people have never been on a webinar before. So we spend half our time training how to be on a webinar. So we have an agenda, but we don't even start it for 20 minutes because we can still see somebody doing the dishes and somebody else doesn't know what button to push and somebody else, can you hear me? Can you hear me? No, I can't. What button should I push? So we're not even doing our own agenda when we think we have a organized method of communicating. Those things will now be something we can teach. Most of us will know it, but we will actually be teaching people around the world so that when they get into that situation, they're going to jump into the agenda. When we look at our program right now, communication and leadership, we can compare it to a railway track. And we have two skills that we're learning. Now we're starting at base camp and we're going to climb a mountain, but we're not all going to go the same way. There'll be 10 different paths up the mountain, and even within one path, no two people will probably get to the top the same way. So we'll talk about 10 different paths. The development of Toastmasters, and you can go online and look at videos of testimonies of how it happened, and we're actually having, the girl who is in those videos is coming to our convention via electronic on Sunday morning, and that's going to be really exciting to understand the background. But what they did is they went to organizations, they went to business, they went to corporations and said, what do you want your people to learn? We want to be where leaders are made. What is it that we need to be teaching them? And this is what was developed. If you look at the 10 different paths, right now we're leadership and communication. If you take these 10, presentation mastery is concentrating on speaking. The other 9 are leadership skills. There's a big disconnect with what we had in our program and what the world was asking for. So Toastmasters is catching up, and this is going to be amazing in the way that we are going to be able to learn these skills step by step, proven and tried and piloted by people around the world. We're not the guinea pigs. So we're going to be way further ahead as we step in because we're going to have so many resources available to us. Any given path is about 14 projects, 14 speeches, but some things are not just a speech. So for example, right now we have a communication and a leadership manual. Those two programs will be married, and you will do some things like be a Toastmaster and a speech and an evaluation, and that would be considered one project. We'll look at one path in detail. This is base camp a while ago. Apparently it looks different. I'm an ambassador, and John is a guide.
But for me, that screen is still there, but the screen before that one has changed a little bit.
I thought it was now 3 boxes at the bottom.
No, that one's still 5,
It's still the
but
same.
the one before is 3.
Oh, 3. Oh, it's down to 2, right?
No,
Yeah,
it
we're not
isn't.
going to have that one. So the ambassadors have been going into clubs and doing what I'm doing, and the guides have been supporting. Jocelyn's a guide as well. And then we started to realize that we weren't getting the same emails. And actually, in fact, the ambassadors weren't getting any emails. So we talked amongst ourselves, and we put 14 of us in a room together and realized how much some people were getting and some people were researching, and had an amazing Saturday morning of learning to find out what some of our guides and some of our ambassadors had gone to Australia websites or had gone to the Middle East and discovered stuff that wasn't coming through the TI website. And there was checklists and there was lists of projects and there was, unbelievable matrices I found
in the last 3 weeks that we weren't getting from Toastmasters. So it's really interesting to be in a room with somebody who says, well, I've already done the assessment, and we'll talk about that in a minute. If you were to look at this 5 boxes, and I like to consider them the 5 sort of filing boxes, filing cabinets, Navigating Basecamp is sort of the user guide. How am I going to make my way around? When you get a manual, you open up, there's an introduction, and it tells you where to go. This is now electronic. So there's a user guide in Navigating Basecamp. Educational transcripts are the projects that you do. You can now electronically store them in your little filing cabinet. Feedback is what you get from your fellow people. Right now we write it, but there's a way, and there are things in place so that we can actually do it electronically easier and in a more consistent way, if that is what you're looking for. Badges, we'll talk about these in a minute, but right now, and probably quite a lot at MVP, somebody will do an amazing project, or somebody will do a terrific job of being the chairperson, or bring us into a workshop, or whatever it is. And when you go home as that speaker, somebody might say, you know, Roger, I'm so glad you did that speech. Really inspired me, and I'm glad you shared your story. And there are people in this room who do that out of the goodness of their heart and the way that they want to mentor or they want to share their journey with other people. Now we have actual badges. So if somebody was to give a speech that shows a lot of courage, we could send them a courage badge. And we'll talk about why that's been instigated. And the last one is speech evaluations. They will be electronic if you wish. There's obviously the option to print, and you can scan them later. What we find is, and I, for one, can vouch for this. Are you ready to apply for your DTM? Yeah, I have all those manuals somewhere. Yeah, I think I saw that evaluation in the back seat of my car, and that one was on a kitchen table. And no, I finished my CC. I think I stored that one in the garage. And now we're trying to pull together a track record that you've actually achieved everything. As a Toastmaster, if you want to store it all electronically, and we use Easy Speak, and we've talked about the benefits of Easy Speak. Now every evaluation, every comment will be stored if you store it. It doesn't go from mid-space in your backpack into the machine, but into the computer. But it is a great idea, and if you, as long as you're a Toastmaster, you'll have access to that. So you'll never lose track. You'll always move forward and have a record of all of those evaluations and those badges. If you go to Toastmasters today, this is what you'll see. And you can try all the buttons you want, and it'll say, view rollout schedule. And then there's a graph, and it says, Region 4, May 3rd. And that's it. We can't open that gate until they open it. Standing here today is a lot different than when we talked to you 3 weeks ago. Region 4 is made up of 20 districts. So there are people like Jocelyn and John and I going around visiting clubs in those 20 districts. Region 4 has to have 70% of the clubs have this presentation given. We are now at?
District 42 is at about 82%.
So we've done our 70%. Our goal is not to stop. We will get at 100%. All the people in Calgary are very committed to getting. So thank you to MVP for inviting us to come and take up half of your agenda. But it is part of how we will actually have access to pathways.
The whole change management process.
So our other districts, and John was saying, just a little competition. We are actually ahead of 99, in case you care.
99 is at 64%.
Well, you know anybody in Edmonton, you can just tell them. But beyond this, if you were to go lower on the screen, there are videos you can get access to. There are evaluations you can see. There are checklists. And I have them printed. If you want, I can show you during the break. What's interesting is I wanted to find out today who was rolling out when. And I did a little research, and I hadn't done this before, because I wondered who had access to it. And all the numbers didn't mean anything to me. So I took the map. And District 57 was the first district to roll out. That was out of California, so that made sense. The second district was in Maryland. It was in the States. And then the next one was in Malaysia. So they went to the other side of the world. And that was 3 districts, like District 42, to actually pilot and test the material. The first rollout happened in Region 14, which was Malaysia, Thailand. So they got it first before any of the Americas. And then region 2 was California, and after that, every 2. So we are in the second last group. The last group will roll out about 2 weeks after us. But if you just looked at Canada, Ontario and Quebec, their region has been in it for probably 8 months already. BC got it before us, and we'll roll out in May. And then the Maritimes with New York will be the very last to get it with South America. So it's interesting. I think there's 10 different rollout dates, but it's interesting to find out who's rolled out first, what languages. English was first and Spanish was second. Chinese was second within about a month, and then Spanish. And now they've rolled out all the languages that are prepared. So they've had translators working like crazy for the last couple of years to have everything roll out simultaneously because we are global. So what does it look like when we start online? First thing we do is an assessment. There are 10 paths, and you will have access to 2. 1, to be a member of MVP, you will get for free, and you can pay $20 American for the second. Go ahead, John.
If you belong to more than one club, you get a maximum of 2 free.
Right.
Okay, so a little bit different than what you said. You can purchase all 10 right now if you want.
You could.
You could.
We did that with manuals. We bought the whole library, and then we worked through whatever one was appropriate. We'll go into detail in a minute, but 2 paths have to be completed for a DTM, and we'll talk about what that looks like in a minute. But most people will say, well, there's 10 paths, where do I start if I'm allowed 2? So Toastmasters has created an assessment. It's a multiple choice, and you take an assessment of where you're at in your own leadership journey. When you finish that online multiple choice, you will then be suggested what 3 paths are your probably best choice. What's the obvious question?
What if
You don't like them.
Do I have to do those 3? You can do whatever ones you want.
Just for fun, like this assessment, if you go onto Pathways right now, you can take this assessment. Try to break it. Take it more than once. Take it 5 times. Take it 10 times. And so, like, if there's something that keeps coming up, that
Jan, you can do it because you're a guide. We
Yeah.
can't do it yet.
you can.
Everybody
can.
Everybody can.
Yeah.
It's 5 questions?
No, it's
I couldn't find it today.
really.
Yeah, I think you can get it because you're a guide.
No, you don't even need to log on to
Yeah.
Everybody can.
That's new. Okay, go ahead, sorry.
Okay.
So when you're finished, you will be told, or you can choose which path you want. 5 competencies that we're working on: public speaking and confidence across all of the 10 paths. But if you look at the 3 in between, interpersonal communication, strategic leadership, and management. So there's a heavy emphasis on leadership. As you look at each path, it'll tell you which main competencies it will concentrate on. So if you know you need management, then you're going to look at the paths that have number 4. And the closer they are to the beginning, the more they're concentrate on. Every path has 5 levels. Level 1 is an icebreaker, evaluation and feedback, research and presenting. And that's the same for all 10 paths. In level 2, you'll do something in mentoring. 3, 4, and 5 have electives. And that changes depending on the path, and your journey will change depending on what electives. So the path you take to the top of the mountain won't necessarily be the same as somebody else who's doing dynamic leadership. So this is dynamic leadership. We're going to take a walk through the 5 levels, and what would it take me to finish one whole path or to get to the summit of the mountain? Level 1 in every path is mastering fundamentals. Those 3 speeches that I just suggested. For example, evaluation and feedback, you do a speech, you get evaluated, you do the speech again. Research and presenting is like number 7, I think it is, in the CC. So some of these we've seen before, but they're not necessarily brand new to us. Before you start, you do an assessment based on that path. So for example, One of the questions in the assessment might be, I recognize how this project applies to my life outside of Toastmasters on a scale of 1 to 5. When you get to the end, you then self-evaluate how you've done on that leadership track. Evaluations are way more specific, and probably one of the things that really excites me as far as what we're going to benefit from each other in the way that we evaluate. When we give an evaluation, we're in evaluation contest right now, it's a sandwich, something you did well, something that you might want to improve, something that would challenge you or your best quality. This is half of the form, and those 3 things are the bottom half, and you would write it. The form is now 3 pages long. So for the icebreaker for dynamic leadership, you are now going to rank that person on clarity, vocal variety, eye contact, gestures, audience awareness, comfort level, and interest. And those things will change depending on the speech. So imagine a person who is already a DTM giving a 1 to 5, and a person who just walks in the room and doesn't really understand what kind of eye contact. Oh, their eyes were up the whole time, I'll give them a 5, right? This is the best part, not just for evaluators, but for speakers. So if you were to look at number 5 on each one of these, so for example, eye contact, uses eye contact to convey emotion and elicit response. If that's what the speaker did, you're going to mark it as a 5. But so is the person beside you, and the person in the club across the country and across the world. So we're going to end up with a more consistent evaluation, not based on who evaluates you, but based on the evaluation criteria. What I think is really exciting is before I do a speech, I'm going to read this and aim for every 5. But now I know what I'm aiming for. So we haven't even really talked about comfort level. We talk about manner or confidence, but now it's really structured and spelt out for us. So as an evaluator, we're going to be given more tools to be more specific for how the speaker is giving us information. That was level 1. Level 2, understanding your leadership, understanding your communication, and introduction to mentoring. Every level 2, every path does this program. And the mentoring program has several different instructional guides. The golden one is introduction to mentoring. Depending on your electives and whatever path, you may do a different project.
And if you complete all 5 manuals, you're then Toastmasters certified mentor.
This is where it gets exciting. So in level 3, for this path, you are going to negotiate the best outcome. That's the name of that project. And then you have 2 electives. And in the electives, you can choose any 2 of these. So let's just look at 2, for example. Creating effective visual aids. Ever done that in Toastmasters before? Where do you see that? You're advanced, you should know this. Number 8 in the CC, right? Creating visual aids.
That's research.
It's number. Prepare for an interview. We have an advanced manual called Communicating on Video when you're the host. So there are some projects that we've probably already seen if we've been through some of the advanced manuals. Those are some of the projects, but at this point, rolling out for us are 59 different projects. Toastmasters is creating new projects all the time. Shelley?
Are the timings about the same as what we did before?
5 to 7?
Is it still?
Yeah, most of them are. And I went through probably 30 projects today, and they are still 5 to 7. Some of them are a bit longer, and some of them aren't just a speech, and we'll look at some of those in a minute. And those were all the languages. I think we're 8 languages by the time we all roll out, already prepared. Level 4 for this path is Manage Change, and here we go, an elective again. So in this one, there is one called Manage a Difficult Audience. We have a facilitating discussion manual called Handling Difficult Situations. Another one, I love this, Manage Online Meetings. If you've been on an all leaders call, probably half this room has. I've been an area director, you're supposed to attend an all leaders call, an online call, and honestly, half the time is because somebody doesn't know what button to push. And I'm sure it happens at work. So somebody somewhere said, please teach people how to do this. So I'm thinking, you do that project before you're an area director, so you know how to do an online call.
So,
Susan.
question, a couple of those need technology, like online meetings, you have to have an online meeting tool. Blogging,
Correct.
you have to have a blogging tool. You have to have a podcast tool. Will they provide the tools then as well, or do we have to research and find those on our own?
That much I don't know yet.
I'm assuming because it's what you're doing in the real world, they'll give you tips on how to, but using
They don't have the infrastructure.
Yeah, they're not going to provide a Zoom
A lot of those
session
things are
for you
free.
or. Yeah, there's a lot of free services
Yeah,
that you can use, but
And your option is not to pick it.
yeah.
But obviously, that's where we need to learn.
But that's where you grow, right?
That's right. So, and we're not the first. And there's a lot of mentors across the district for that kind of thing. Level 5, we're almost at the top of the mountain. Lead in any situation. Reflect on your past. So this is most people understand what the HPL is. So you do a presentation at the beginning of your high performance leadership, and then you do your project, and then you come back and you say, this is what happened. So at the end of every path, you're going to look back and say, I was working on dynamic leadership, and this is what I've encountered. This is what I've learned. And an elective. In this one, there is lead in your volunteer organization, executive role, area director, conference chair. Go ahead.
The one comment that's relevant to our club is that it's the completion of a level 3 that allows people to come into an advanced club. And so the level 3 is roughly equivalent to the current CC.
9 projects. The CC is 10.
Yeah.
Russ?
In order to receive your final award when you do all 5 or whatever, do you have to take on a district leadership role?
We're going to look at that. You do have to
Still
still
have
be,
to
yeah.
Not within the past, but yes, for DTM.
For DTM.
For DTM, you will. And that's coming. About 3 slides. Joanne, do you have a comment? You're good?
Oh, your evaluation doesn't work. It will not work. I just played with it on my phone.
Yeah,
So-
Matt did the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The assessment?
You can't do the
Assessment,
assessment.
yeah,
Yeah.
you can't do it.
It's because they're guides, right? I'm just a piddly little ambassador, so I don't get that stuff.
We're just regular members.
Yeah.
I'm sure I did it without even logging on
I
at
think-
all.
I just
But it
tried
might be that
Jocelyn.
they've recorded
just
you.
tried it.
But maybe it works on a desktop and not on.
Oh, it's the laptop.
Oh, you had your laptop?
Yeah, put my laptop in.
It's okay, May 3rd. This is what's interesting, is that, and it's happening right now, everybody wants that assessment. Everybody wants to know, what path do I want? We were in one meeting and somebody said, well, can I do the assessment right now? And I said, as soon as that gate opens. I said, they better be ready, because everybody in 42 wants that assessment like at midnight. And I said, I'll race you, because I want to know what path they're going to suggest. So here's the badges. There's 5 levels. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What's interesting, we do not get a certificate of competency anymore. It's now proficiency. So if you wanted to put your certificate of proficiency on dynamic leadership on your resume, it's a bit better than half competent communicator.
That's my favorite
And
ribbon.
before, there's 5, 6, 7.
What?
Five levels, 5 extra badges. So in those filing cabinets at the beginning, there was one for your badges. So you're going to get your levels as you go. Right now, you join Toastmasters, you get a CC and you get a CL. We said, great, do your icebreaker. And when you've done 10 things, we'll give you a little certificate of competency. After level 1, you're going to get your 1. When you do a courageous thing or you do an inspirational or innovative speech, anybody can send you that badge. So that's not from Toastmasters, that's from your fellow members. Why? And you probably heard this already. As far as 350,000 plus people around the world, how many get a DTM? Very small percent. Less than 1. Less than 1%. So we're really like half the world here. As far as how many actually get their CC, this blew me away. How many?
10%.
It's about 10%. Wow. So you've written a curriculum in the 70s, and not even 10% of your people are finishing level 1 CC. It's time. It's time to have it rewritten. It's time for pathways. We are now going to get a level after every 3, somethings, 14 to get to your 5, you are now going to be able to have badges to each other, and we're going to recognize those strengths in each other. I don't have to go home and design an email, way to go, Roger, I was really inspired, I loved your story. I can just go, boom, courage badge. So now it takes me 30 seconds. I'm probably going to do it more often. And, one second, Joanne, we're going to actually be inspired by each other because we're not all doing number 1, number 2, number 3. In our club, I would guess in this club, we would probably hit all 10 paths. In May, there's going to be doing somebody an icebreaker on dynamic leadership and somebody on visionary leadership, somebody on collaborative, somebody on presentation mastery. So even if I'm doing 1, 2, 3 of dynamic leadership, when I watch my fellow members, they're all going a different path. It will be very rare for 2 people to get to the top of the mountain in the exact same footsteps. So now we have even more variety, and I might be doing dynamic leadership, but I watch Susan do a different path and be inspired to go that path or realize I've learned enough and take a third path when I move on. What do I need to do to get my DTM? So a DTM is 2 full paths, 14 projects, and a project could be an HPL. I think it's a DTM project. We don't know what that looks like yet. When those gates open. This is interesting. A club officer for a year. Most of us have done that. A district officer, area director, division director. That still stands. But check this out. Club sponsor, Speechcraft, or youth. So you don't have to do sponsor, mentor, or coach. So youth leadership and Speechcraft will actually equal a sponsor. And then you're going to mentor or club coach. So we're going to actually be mentoring much more. What I see happening probably 3 or 5 years down the line is we are going to be in the community a lot more. Because now we're going to be, it's a big stepping stone for all of us to be youth leadership or Speechcraft. So if each of us is stepping out and taking a team to do that, Toastmasters is now in the general community more often. And
Christine, is it only the leader of the youth leadership that gets the
I would assume so, yeah. The
like
coordinator.
it was
The same as before, but before it was one of your successful leadership, so it didn't actually,
it wasn't right so high.
I don't, it's given as much status now as a club sponsor. Ben, go ahead.
Okay, now, this is starting May 3rd.
Correct.
Is everybody starting cold?
Correct.
Or is any previous stuff?
So that's an interesting question, because that's not totally true. If you have done any of these, and they have not been credited to a DTM, they will hold. None of your speeches will. Because the program is so different. So before we had a leadership and a communication manual, now it's interwoven. So the obvious question is, I'm halfway through my DTM, what happens? And it's a shame Ray Mulvihill's not here tonight because he's working on something that he didn't even realize is going to be totally valuable to our district. Two paths, and those things make a DTM. But wherever you stand right now, you have 2 years to finish. So if you're, Josephine, what did you say? You're a silver bronze, silver communicator, and bronze. It is worth her finishing the rest, because you're an area director, almost finished. You'll probably have your silver, right?
That's what John's
So,
finishing too.
Yeah.
and John and Jocelyn are guides. That's equal to a area director. So you're probably going to want to finish those last 10 speeches, and you have 2 years to do it. If you're in your CC, number 5, you do your number 6 before May 3rd, and you jump into here. You can run them simultaneously. So if I will jump into pathways, but I'm almost done a CC, I have 2 years to finish it. It doesn't do me anything for this DTM, but I can just say I have another CC. For some people, they want that CCCL because they're so close to put it on their resume or to tell their boss or husband at home. I don't know. Mark?
How's it going to work for our DCP points?
Next slide.
coming up.
It's coming! Joanne?
What are you going to recommend for the people that are clubs that are getting new members right now?
This is what I would say.
I got a whole bunch of them coming.
Beautiful. And if they pay their fees and correct me if I'm
Do you want
wrong
me to
here.
do this
Yeah, go
one?
ahead. Yeah.
Because I did the research on this. If they have signed up before May 3rd, they will get a free CC, CL, and one pack.
Okay.
If they sign up on May 3rd or afterwards, they do not receive the CC and CL, so they've lost that reference material.
Okay.
So that material, it costs them nothing extra to do it before, but they will get a CC and a CL. After Pathways is rolled out, they will only have access to Pathways. So they get the material that they can choose to use or not. I mean, certainly we all know once you get a CC, it's not mandated that you have to finish it,
Yeah.
but you have the material available to you.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Well, when I was at Rivertown on Pace Setters on Tuesday, there was somebody actually giving their icebreaker.
In Pathways.
And I gave the session before, and he's going, I'm giving my icebreaker today, what do I do? Should I wait?
Was he doing it out of the CC?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He can do it either out of the CC
But-
or
The
out
other
of
one's
Pathways.
At a Pathways, but he was giving his icebreaker out of the CC manual, and he's going, should I wait? Should I wait? And I go, why are you here? Toastmasters isn't a spectator
The other thing
sport.
too, Joanne, is
You
if they
up
get
and
that CC, they can work 2 years to finish it. May 4th, you won't get it.
I know, but
And you can't
chances are,
start
if
it.
they start learning about this, they're gonna wanna do this.
Yeah.
I
But
think
they
so.
can- they
But
can-
they'll have the 2 books.
Yeah,
The
they'll
books are
have the
$20
books.
each.
I know.
They'll have the books and they'll have access to, they can look at the icebreaker online and start on it. They can start on the Pathways program.
I have it printed if anybody wants to see the first project. The checklist, the evaluation,
The CC and the CL are also online, accessible in PDF, so.
Yeah, we have them on our website.
Ben?
Even if they just start with the CC now, I mean, none of us, when we started Toastmasters,
No,
really
we didn't know what a
understood
DTO
that there was all these awards we were getting levels.
Yeah, we just wanted
We
to
came
speak.
here to grow.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Now,
exactly.
if you get a CC and you start with it, and you do some things between now and May 3rd, which is not a lot of time, it's going to make it easier for you to do anything after. Yes.
The obvious question is, do you just want to not learn for 3 weeks? Or do you want to start your learning process? So you do a CC icebreaker, it doesn't matter. May 4th, you do a Pathways icebreaker, but at least you're going around the second time. That's learning in the pot.
Most people can't even write a single speech in 3 weeks.
Yeah, I know, it's not like they're going to finish their CC. Abraham, do you have a comment?
Was that the previous slide, yours and John's?
No.
This was from,
Pilford.
this is from a region that's already come out. This wasn't
Yeah.
from TI.
It's a nice slide.
It
It
is,
is.
that's why it's in here. Because we couldn't find something graphically as simple. Yeah.
So when you do the evaluations then, are you able to do them, like if you have your phone with you or your iPad or whatever?
That's what we are all wondering. Are we going to be around conference tables with our laptops open? Or are we going to print it?
The evaluations are on PDF, fillable PDF.
It's on your phone anyway.
So if you wanted to type into the fillable PDF and then email Christina her evaluation, you can do that. Or you can handwrite it and give it to her and she can scan or take a picture and put it up.
So then as a speaker for every meeting, as you're preparing to come and give your speech,
Yeah.
are you also then pre-printing
Yes.
enough forms for everybody that might be evaluating
No,
you that night?
no, well, you're a key evaluator.
Okay.
And so you're not giving 3 pages to everybody. And so the feedback, the 1-page feedback form, you'd still, that get passed around as a club.
Okay.
But the formal evaluation is from that one person who's evaluating.
Okay.
Ben?
There again, somebody's gonna be able to go, if they wanna give you feedback, they can go online, get that feedback form, fill it out, and send it to you.
Yep.
Okay.
I would really strongly recommend
Mhm.
that you do not have people in meetings sitting there with laptops.
No.
That's right. I'm hoping not.
Yeah.
There are companies now who have engaged a wooden box policy for meetings.
That's great.
Mhm.
And literally, it is so low tech, but it has improved their meetings 1,000%.
Yes, yes.
All electronic devices go in the wooden box.
Mhm.
If there is anything that needs to be accessed as something that's electronic, it's recognized as an efficiency in planning the meeting. Okay? You do not.
That's good
get to pull your
leadership.
phone out.
Yeah.
This is basically comparing then and now. What will our meetings look like? We'll still have icebreakers, we'll still have evaluators, we'll still have table topics, and we'll still have recognition, a lot more so. What's really interesting is the last two. In our program right now, we hit 68 competencies, 68 different skills that we can work on. In Toastmasters, with Pathways, there will be over 300. So we are hitting, some of these didn't even exist 40 years ago, right? How to dial a phone, didn't have that. And we talked a lot about 2 tracks compared to 10 paths. So I think we gained big time on what our meetings are going to look like. Here's the Distinguished Club Program. As far as the education, it will be 6 out of 12. So right now it's 2 CCs, 2 CCs, 2 AC, or 1 AC, 1 AC. So we will now have, and they don't line up beside each other, any 6 of these. So if we had 2 CCs, that's 1 point, like one of the 6. And then we would have to have 4 level 1s. You cannot have 2 and 2, like you can't mix them. So level 4, 1 level 4, would replace or be equivalent to CL.
It's
Any 6.
Any
So you
6
might have
of
4 level 1s, 2 level 2s, 1 DTM, 2 level 3s. So that's a transition time. Once we are all in Pathways, 2 years from now, this will change and we'll have a new DCP program.
Christina, no growth points anymore?
No, the other 4 points are the same.
Oh, they're the same.
That's just the education ones.
Education.
Josephine?
I actually have a club that have a special event on May 3rd. During the meeting, they are going to go online to sign on
And do the assessment together?
and at the same time, they're actually looking at this chart. So right now, they're actually planning
Who's going to get what?
who is doing what and doing what.
That's
So
awesome.
that they are having a lot of different planning because some are really.
They're going to be keen. Yeah. I think with the level 4, sorry, the 4 level 1s, that's 3 speeches. We can't find 4 people to complete 3 speeches by next June. Matt?
2 CCs on the top level left there and 4 level 1s. You just said there's 3 speeches in a level 1, but there's 10 speeches in a CC.
And now you need 4 of them, and not just 2. Right?
That's why these
So
go
yeah, it should be easier, right? And we should be getting
That's only 12 speeches.
recognition more often. Yeah. That's right. Now it's spread out amongst the members. It's not.
And you, just to clarify, you did say for the next period you can mix and match as long as it's not at the same level. So you couldn't have
No, any 6 of these.
No, sorry, you couldn't have 1 CC and
No.
2 level 1s
Correct.
to match
No,
the first.
you cannot.
You've
You
got to
can.
be one or the other, but you can.
But you could have 2 CCs and 4 level 1s. That could be 2 of your 6 points, right?
just for that 2-year period.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Yeah. It's not this side or that side. It's just the way they've typed it up. Abraham?
Russ really wants to get a DTM. Can I send him a DTM badge?
I don't know if that is one. Is there any other questions, Anthony? Yes.
There was a slide you showed earlier, you don't have to go back to it, but it was that beautiful one that showed the path to DTM.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a big chunk that said DTM project.
Well done.
What is that?
As much as we can share, I would expect it's like an HPL, but we know one of the electives is an HPL. So I think it's probably more than that, is my guess. But right now, if you look at a DTM, the 3 biggies are a club, start, mentor, or sponsor a club, area director, and an HPL. So that DTM project is probably something similar, and I'm thinking probably even a bit higher in leadership. You would probably have to do something, I'm guessing, in the community, like outside of Toastmasters, and there's that PR program again, right? So, but if we are where leaders are made and people don't know about us, it will be really neat to see all of us having to do things within the community, like a youth leadership or speechcraft, to spread the word. Shelley?
Have they finally gone to kind of like a pass or fail? Or you do it and you get credit and that's...
Do you know what? This is very interesting you say that, because we do that in speeches, but we do not do that in leadership. So you can be an area director on paper, not do your reports, I don't like promoting this, not run your own contest, and at the end of the year, area director on your DTM. Somebody else is covering your tail all season, and there's never been any evaluation on that leadership. We have division directors that, unless they have a good team around them, don't have that feedback. You did this really well, you should probably try dealing with people a bit differently. And even within our club executive, nobody says, President, you could be better, or Secretary, you didn't do, or, so I'm hoping somewhere through that, we're going to have a feedback opportunity for our leadership in action, not on paper. But I haven't seen, it hasn't come through the way I think you and I are visioning it, but I'm hoping we're going to be better prepared with skill set, like an online webinar, before we get into that seat.
There's no pass or fail with speeches now either.
There is the opportunity to suggest somebody do the speech over.
But they don't have to.
No.
They don't have to, no.
There are clubs.
But there is a requirement that they get evaluated.
Yeah.
You know what, they're operating outside of the Toastmasters.
That might be true, but there are clubs that do it.
No,
I've had it done.
Speech, you're getting evaluated, that's necessary.
Yeah.
And you get
It's
whatever
learning.
feedback that is. If it's, gee,
But
really,
if
you should try
there are
this again.
clubs currently that are actually doing that and doing a pass-fail, they're operating outside of Toastmasters rules, and if Toastmasters finds out about it, they can be sanctioned.
Well, okay, I'm sorry, but I know about one in Dubai.
Well, good for them.
Well, I think as a speaker, if you get I'll give you my example. I did a really bad job of a speech. Nobody here saw it, thank God. And my club said, I think you should do it again. And it was literally the last speech I did in Ontario, and it gave me my goals. And I blew it. I had a beautiful setup. It doesn't matter. I did it all wrong. My cards were in the wrong order. And I went back the next week, which was 6 days before we left Ontario. And the comment was, that was the best speech I've ever seen you do. So it was worth it. And I didn't want to leave on a bad note, obviously. And the speech was thanking my club for everything they've done. I totally blew it, right? Like, I had to go back and do it over, but.
You didn't thank us enough.
Josephine?
Integrity, right? Even though
That's
it's
right.
the destination, I have done the speeches 5 times over. 2 times, first time was say that you should do it, redo it, but the rest of the 4 times I did it because I don't think I did it well enough.
Well, I think that's on the onus of the speaker. But there are some evaluators who
Perhaps
are.
that mentoring portion that they're talking about.
We'll take that away.
Take that.
And if.
Yeah, the mentoring in level 2 is just mentoring on one project. So it's no longer that you have to mentor on 3, but if you do want to get your, is it certified mentor?
You can do that.
You do more.
No,
But
I wasn't
at
just
level
talking
2.
about.
No, but I think just in general.
I'm saying in general, throwing in a mentorship with another person, that's when you can incorporate perhaps doing things over. Because if
Well, it's
you didn't
preparation
incorporate
before you
it,
actually
yeah.
get on stage, right, Karen?
For sure.
What happens with contests and evaluations, judging?
Same.
I don't think that changes. It won't change. I would expect our evaluations will be even stronger. Roger?
Yeah, forgive my ignorance, but as a new member, what is an HPL?
High performance leadership. I can show you later. So, 2 last things, because I know we've got the red light there. That was all your questions. This is where you have to log on. Not a problem at MVP. Everybody knows how to do it. And we will be having a pep rally at the convention. So Shelley Goldbeck is a Sergeant at Arms. She will interview Sally Newell-Cohen. If you go online, she is in 5 videos explaining how Pathways came about. And this George Marshall is in the video we were going to show you. And I think he's the one that's already done 5 paths. He was there in the first region. So all the questions that we're going to have when we introduce each other, somebody should secretary them, because Shelley Goldbeck is looking for questions to ask them in the panel.
That one you asked, pass or fail, is a great question.
There is lots of time. John, Jocelyn, and I will be around. If you have more questions, I hope you have a lot of Inukshuts along your path. Oh, sign up.
There is no path or fail. That's what I got out of that. And I just learned that secretary can be used as a verb. Did you catch that? Right at the end. Well done. The next thing that's on the written agenda is for you to provide feedback. Are we actually doing that today?
I think Christina should do it over.
See, usually I think you're supposed to remind us to complete the evaluation slip before she starts speaking, but were you being evaluated today, Christina? Okay, then we can skip that. It's back to me.
We're going to skip that.
I'll
And
have
back to
the-
Susan Kramer.
I'll have the video online within a day or so and send it to everyone, and you can look at it and then send comments.
Will you have the slides in the corner too?
That's what I'm working on.
Awesome, thanks,
So
Richard.
please help me welcome Susan Kramer back to the Inukshuk.
Hey, Christina, can you get this back up again? I'd like you to go to the slide that had the list of the 10 paths. The question of the day that I'm going to ask is I'd like you to put your Swami hat on and try and predict what you think the assessment is going to tell you is the first path that you should start to work on. Any questions on that? Does that make sense? There were 10 paths. Have a look at them and try and predict what you think Toastmasters assessment is going to tell you you have to do first.
Too far. There.
Another one.
Nope, that one's too small. Can't read that one. There was that very first one at the beginning. I don't think it had images, it just had words. I think it was like your second slide. There, that one. Okay, so everybody can read that? Okay, I am going to start a little bit out of sequence. I'm going to start with Jocelyn and then move this way, just to make it a little bit easier because you're more familiar with the paths, right? So if you were taking the assessment, it's May the 3rd at midnight, you're taking the assessment, what do you think it's going to tell you is the path you should start on?
I know what it told me, and I told it to go to hell.
Tell us your name and your level of accomplishment as well to date.
I'm Jocelyn Hasty. I'm a ACG ALB right now. And the path I'm planning on taking is visionary communication. It told me I needed more help with leadership development, and I said I don't agree.
Thanks. Okay, awesome. Okay, Roger, what do you think?
I think probably it'll come out dynamic leadership and persuasive influence.
That's where you need help.
Sure, I need help with everything.
Okay, very good. And your name and...
Roger Sutherland, and I'm a past CTM, and I'm a new member of MVP.
Awesome, thank you. Christina.
My name is Christina Cruz. I'm interested in dynamic leadership.
Okay, and you think that's what it's going to tell you too?
I don't know actually.
Okay. John.
My name is John McDonald. I completed my communications silver and leadership bronze for the moment. And for me, it popped up motivational strategies.
Oh, cool. Okay. Shelley.
Shelley Nussel, DTM. I would be very interested in presentation mastery.
Okay.
Karen Hardy, and I have CCALB, and I would say strategic relationships because I have a word of the year, and my 2018 word of the year is relationship.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, hi, my name's Matt Fox from DTM. I would like to think I could focus on dynamic leadership, and I would be interested in strategic relationships.
Very cool.
Hi, my name is Farheen. I finished CC. I'll be interested in dynamic leadership and presentation mastery.
Excellent, thank you.
I'm Mark Kolke. I'm one nose hair away from my DTM. Well, two nose hairs, but me and MC. You'll get that in 2 weeks. Thank you. I guess the idea is it's going to point us to the ones where we need the help.
Correct.
The ones we'd be most resistant to. And that would be team collaboration for me, because that's my, I'm the worst at all that. But I would like effective coaching, and I would like the presentation mastery.
Nice.
It's going to fit with some business things I'm doing.
Okay. Anthony.
Fellow Toastmasters, my name is Anthony Tiny, DTM. I would like to develop strategic relationships and persuasive influence. As for what it would suggest for me, that's up in the air. It could be anything from dynamic leadership to maybe motivation strategies.
Richard Lowry, ACB and ALB, looking at probably presentation mastery, and depending what it is, possibly visionary communication.
Nice. We'll just keep going at the back there, Josephine.
Josephine Choi, ACGALB. I'm in innovative planning, motivational strategy, and visionary communication.
Okay.
That's a motivation. DTM is easier to say.
Gregory. Apparently I'm a DTM.
Are you or are you not?
I am, apparently. They gave me a DTM, but I'm on the same path as Roger, trying to figure out our path.
And what do you think would be the one that it will tell you you need help with?
Number 11. Completely undecided.
Okay.
Madam Chairperson, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Russ Dantu, DTM. I'm interested in visionary communication, but I'd also love to see what persuasive influence and motivational strategies has to offer.
Okay.
I'm Gord Grant. I've got my Confident Communicator complete. I would like to be focused in on presentation mastery, but my guess would be innovative planning would show up for me.
Okay.
I see two that I absolutely hate. So we would say innovative planning and strategic relationships, both of which, I work in government. Why would I want to do that? I like the idea of visionary communication, but it would be interesting to see what it is.
In relation to your question, I would say that it's going to require visionary communication because you're asking me to predict the future, and my brother is actually the licensed psychic. But in reality, I probably could use innovative planning because, according to my wife, I suck at that. And possibly either persuasive influence or team collaboration because I have a tendency to work on my own a lot.
Okay. And I asked all of you the tough question. My name's Susan Kramer, DTM, and I don't have a clue either. I'm just like Abraham. I'm kind of path 11. I feel like I have a little bit of every one of those now, and I don't know which one would be the one. What do you think it would be for me?
You know, it's funny, I wasn't really keeping track, but very few people say coaching. And I think that's what lots of us do anyway.
Yeah.
So it depends whether it's your strength or it's your weakness.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether the assessment is going to direct you to your weaknesses because of what you say.
Well, I'm looking forward to May the 3rd. I think it's going to be very revealing. So thank you very much for playing along with me. It's now time to call our break. What time is it, please?
8:14.
8:14.
That goes with this. Roger and I were talking earlier, and how fast people are going to decide to go into pathways or not. But I think it would be really interesting, particularly for our club, if we did an icebreaker night. And we would be able to see how many people, we would have done the assessment and we could do our icebreaker with whatever, but it would be neat to see whether we cover all 10 or not.
Just have a special meeting and
but just have an icebreaker night and see how many people are interested to jump into pathways like that before the summer.
Well, that might be something fun.
And then we would all have that experience, not just of our own, but having listened to 9 or 10 icebreakers to go through the summer and sort of express.
Well, maybe you could collaborate with Richard and see what we can get organized there, because as our VP of Ed, that would be his bailiwick.
I just wanted, would people be interested?
And if you
Yeah.
did that, you could probably take the innovative planning track and use that as a as a project done.
Happy to coach you.
Yeah. Who would like to collaborate?
So what I'm thinking is sometime in June, we'll have the icebreaker night.
With some ice in cups, I think.
Or something.
Maybe we could combine our annual June event and outdoor.
Why are you here?
Fiesta?
icebreakers.
Well, wait, which weekend is summer?
We usually do a backyard event in June, so.
Yeah.
I think you should call a break.
Okay, I am going to call a break. We are a little bit behind schedule. Our table topics person tonight is Roger. Roger, you had 3 table topics, right? Is there 4? I think maybe let's take that down to 3, and we'll take a 10-minute recess now so we can germinate on all these good things we just learned.
Before the 10-minute recess, we should be reconvening.
5 minutes.
We can't go without a break, Anthony. People have to go to the bathroom.
5 7 minutes. That's a good time.
So,
Madam Chairperson.
okay, I think we can recoup some of that time if we stay crisp on what's coming next. So, yeah, so what time is it right now? 8 what? What time is it right now? 8:14? Okay, Mark's got the timer. He'll be doing the holler and just listen to Mark.